Hey gang, Kevin here, Life22. And yesterday we discussed the mayor's race. Today, I kind of want to touch a little bit on the New York City. Well, I'm going to call it a fiasco. So there's some rules in politics, right? And there's some rules in democracy, which is you get what you voted for, like nice and hard. So, yeah, my concern is that, and I've heard other podcasters talk about this, and I've seen other people, in my passing say, well, if they elect Zoran Mondani, a socialist, who wants to dismantle democracy, and he's, that's the part I don't understand. Like, we need to have, there needs to be fail-safes, right? Like, oh, well, we're a democracy, and the libertarian in me, which that part of me is getting smaller and smaller as I get older and realize that you can't have absolute freedom is tyranny and slavery, right? There's no what if you have nothing to do? Well, then you're absolutely free. No, you're free. You have to have a balance between freedom and duty. And we've talked about that on the channel. We've talked about you can read about it if you read, the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers and kind of get a good idea of where our Founding Fathers came from and what their idea was. But you can't have a system that's yes, you can vote for whatever you want. Well, we want the system to dissolve. Then you don't have a system. And then you can't play by the rules of a system that you just dissolved. And people don't seem to get that. America was founded on democracy. Well, it was founded to be a republic with democratic principles, right? And at a certain point, though, it's hey, we all agree to do this, and we will not change it. That's the thing. It's you have, yes, in a democracy, you have the right to change things. In a democracy, you have the right to change things. You can even upend the system, and that is the issue. That's why they all sat around afterwards and were all right, we're going to vote for this thing. And if it changes, we need to completely dismantle the system and start over. If we're going to change it to, a monarchy, then it doesn't exist. Throw it all out, and you can't pretend it still exists and it has the same rules and all that other stuff. And that was the deal. That was the deal. It was the thing that our great ancestors, the people, even if they weren't generically related to you, if you're in this country, they are the people that came before you, and they signed the contract on your behalf. The same way that none of us have physically signed the Declaration of Independence. And there's some people in this country that their lineage had never even were related to people who signed the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution of the United States, but they still are governed by it because if you're an American, that's why they call them your founding fathers, right? So when they signed all this stuff in and they said, this is it, you will be a republic and you will have all these things. You can vote for people to represent you and stuff like that. But the idea is that the intent is that you can't just elect to have the entire system upended and give them, a monarchy and provide, all these things that they were fighting against. And then all of a sudden now you've got people running for office, and you've got these Soros judges and all these other people that are man, you've got, you get all these Soros judges that are oh, well, we'll just plant this person in there. And then eventually America will be communist. Well, as soon as we're communist, we're not America anymore, at which point the Constitution ceases to exist. That is the weakness of all of these documents because it depends on the public. It relies on the public to embrace the fact that we are a republic, embrace the fact that you can't be anything else. You're allowed to believe that communism is greater than a republic or a democracy or any of that other stuff, but you can't implement it into the United States. Because once you start to implement socialism and communism and all these things, it ceases to become the United States, at which point the Declaration of Independence is almost as if it never existed. The Constitution is almost as if it never existed. You don't have human rights at that point. And that's what, because they implied it, it was when they ratified the Bill of Rights, they were oh, we don't really need this though. 95% of them were we should just put it in there in case somebody does not understand that we interpreted it this way and that all rights that are not listed in this is just a small fraction of what we consider to be the Bill of Rights. But these are like the most important if we had to write them down. But it far expands this. And now people are like, if it's not in that document, it doesn't exist, you don't have the right. And it's like, well, it's not what they said when they wrote it. And, you know, it's just... So democracies need to have this republic needs to have like a fail-safe, or it needs to be reiterated by our elected officials so that we understand that they understand that we're not allowed to not be anything other than a republic. Like that's oh, well, I have my vote. Well, I just voted to not have a system of voting anymore, that we can just give it to, because socialism is not a democracy. It is not a republic. You don't have the right to vote in socialism. You don't have the right to vote in communism. You don't have the right to vote in a monarchy. You don't have the right to vote in a lot of other systems. And that's why it's not a representative form of government. So you don't get it. You get like the dictatorship. Wow, we want a dictatorship. Like, well, and that's what they voted for in New York City, which that's an issue. But back to my main point, though, was that there's a lot of people throwing. Well, that is a main point. But back to the point I was originally on. The Republic. We're in trouble because they voted in a socialist who wants to give away free things and all this other stuff and steering us away from a republic, which is essentially dismantling America. And people are just following suit with it, and other people are just like, let New York City get what they deserve. And it's like, yeah, like you can say that, and it seems justified to watch the man who's battling bears get eaten by a bear. Like, well, I told you, dummy, don't go in there. And then he goes in there and he beats up a bear, and you're like, wow, that was pretty impressive. And then it's short-lived, because then he gets a good couple lands in, and then the bear devours him, right? And not everybody gets out of the reverent like that, so but New York City is, as a lot of people pointed out, if you don't live in New York City, like I live in New York, but I don't live in New York City. So let them get it nice and hard. But I'll still feel the ramifications of it, because that's where most of my taxpayer dollars go. It goes to the state to get refunneled back in New York City, because they're already not sustainable. That's where it comes down to. And and other people are going to feel that too, because you pay federal taxes, and those go to New York City and LA and all these other big cities across the country that are red run, or that are blue run, and they run them into the ground, and they can't sustain themselves. So they're like spoiled kids living at home, and big daddy federal government and big state government have to come and take care of them, and that poses a big issue. But in addition to all the ways that it could affect you, it's similar to it's the symbol of capitalism. So in addition to being a republic, we're also a capitalistic form of government. So if you get rid of capitalism, you just got rid of the United States of America. You got rid of all your freedom of speech, all your rights, everything. It's gone. So it's the same thing. It's the same deal. It was the same deal. Hey guys, let's do this, 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 and this. And we all promise that we're not going to switch from this. And if we do, then we don't exist. It's almost as if, that was it. It's just, it just irks me, because it's like, hey, here's the New York Stock Exchange. It's in New York. And if it's not in New York, then it doesn't exist anymore. Everything that's in it, part of it, the SEC, everything, the value of your stock, it's all worthless. Capitalism is guaranteed to collapse. People are like, oh, Kevin, you're over-exaggerating. Well, you can't sit there and say, hey, I'm writing out what this organization does, what this, this stock exchange, this system is. And also, it's just when you write something into law like that, and then you say, this system is contingent on this. It's contingent on being in New York. It's contingent on this. It's contingent on this. So that's why when people try to move it out of New York, it's like, well, now it's not the same thing. Now everything that's here, you're not allowed to do that. It says it right there. So it's and if it's not the symbol of capitalism, then you can't apply capitalism to the stock exchange. And it's that. I don't know. It's also, in addition to the clauses like, in addition to these legal clauses that, like, make it inoperable if you take down New York City or try to move it away from New York City, there's also these other things, like, it doesn't bode well. It's also a symbol. So a symbol is not just something that could literally be in the world, which is what I just described. It can also be something that that is just an omen. It is just something that, like, is a precursor. It's foreshadowing of what's to come. And it's like, hey, we just lost the thing that makes us a capitalistic society. Well, does that not mean that the Constitution should be thrown out? Like, that's what these people are going for. That's why, like, and it's not the people that are the voters in New York City, because they're just like drug addicts for the most part. They're just like, oh, they're giving me free food stamps. And it's like, they're just satiated by the drug they're addicted to. Or you turn around and maybe you're not satiated by the drug you're addicted to. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe they're just a feel-good person who's like, well, we need to help the poor. And so they think they're doing it for good, which is a drug all in itself. Well, I've got to help this person because I feel it. And it's like, okay, well, great. Well, somebody lured you to vote for them because they allowed you to help somebody. And they're going to tax the rich. All the rich people are going to leave New York City. The city's going to crumble. And then it's like, hey. And when you look at the symbol of capitalism, it looks like Snake Plissken left New York. Escape from New York with the Kurt Russell movie. I don't know. It's frustrating, and I think that people need to reiterate the fact that there are these, like, fail-safe clauses. They even write it in the Federalist Papers, and they're like in all these documents, they're like, you need, like, blah 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 blah, and they're like, and please see the attached appendices. Well, you can't just sit there and, like, read something verbatim and then, like, well, I'm going to disregard the appendices because it's not the official document. It's like, yeah, but they said in the official document, like, you need to research our discussion so you can understand the intent, and then, like, it's all encompassing. It's an idea. It's not just the embodiment of one document, and that's what a lot of people don't seem to get, and a lot of people just I don't know. It's frustrating, but all right, gang. Well, there's another morning rant from Kevin. There's my Mondomni spiel, and I just screw all the people out there that say thoughts and prayers, like that are mocking thoughts and prayers. Because if you can't physically be in New York to have the thoughts and prayers for all the people that are going to be directly harmed by this because we just turned it into Soviet Russia, who are going to be starving in the gulags, then yeah. The hardworking ones too. Those are the ones that are going to feel it the most. It's going to be the ones that are working like 80 hours a week and they can't make ends meet. And because they're working 80 hours a week, they don't qualify for any government assistance, the socialism bullshit. And then they work themselves to death. They might as well call it a slave camp. Like that's a work camp. That's all right, gang. I gotta get off this tune. We'll catch you guys next time, Life22.